So if if you're tapped in, I made a video on me not agreeing with the Mappa effect. It was like that Mappa effect video was like 7 months old or something when I watched it. Actually, I think it was like 2 or 3 months old. I don't remember. But Fasky dropped the Mappa effect is changing anime. He dropped this 8 days ago. So this is fresh. A fresh opinion on the Mappa effect. Now, a lot of people agree with me. A lot of people didn't agree with me. Well, we're going to see what he has to say. Talk to me, Fasky.
Been absolutely blessed in the past few years by Mappa with one amazing show after another. But what is the Mappa effect? For us to understand fully what the effect is and how it works, we need to go back to the very beginning. It all goes back to exactly 14th of June 2011. On this very day, Studio Mappa was founded by the one and only Masai Maruyama.
See, and when I said that that Mappa was about 10 years old, I was right. 12 years old, bro. Niggas gotta stop playing on my knowledge, bro.
Masai is a pretty big dog in the industry. He's also a co-founder and a former producer of another massive studio named Madhouse, which was all founded all the way back in 1972. In total, he created 3 studios, making him very successful. He created Mappa so he could have a more laid-back workplace environment, compared to Madhouse, which was already very successful and in turn created a stressful environment with high expectations. It also gave him a chance to work on projects that he actually wanted to work on. It was Masai's passion project in a way. The name Mappa actually stands for Maruyama Animation Produced Project Association. I first heard of Mappa when they took over for the final season of Attack on Titan from Wit Studio, which is probably when most of you first heard of them. We should probably be very grateful for them taking over.
That's normal. That's when the normies was first introduced to them. OG's been new about Mappa. OG's been new about
animating
Mappa.
the show, as no other studio was willing to take on such a massive project. If it wasn't for them, I doubt we would have even gotten the last season. But you never really know these things.
Yeah, you don't.
As you know, things did come up. Some people complained about the style change. Some complained about how the scenes looked much more desaturated than previous seasons.
No, dude!
Small problems that most people could overlook. Me personally, I nearly didn't even realize the change between seasons as I was binging it one after another, just fascinated by the plot twists and on the edge of my seat.
Now that's a W anime watcher, not crying about all the little things, bro.
Titan isn't the first anime they worked on. The first one was in fact a movie named In This Corner of the World. It wasn't a usual anime movie you'd expect. It was about a young girl who's married off to a man she barely knows, as she's struggling to get used to living in Hiroshima during World War II.
Okay.
Right before the bombs were dropped. I don't want to say anything more as the movie itself covers some interesting topics from compassion to perseverance and how it portrayed war from a different and lesser seen perspective, that of everyday people. Most of you would find it an interesting watch to say the least. Of course, things did come up.
Hey, I don't care about this movie. I want to know why the Mappa effect is changing. The Mappa effect is changing anime. Tell me how.
And there was delays, but eventually 5 years later, they finally released it. And it ended up gathering up to 10 wins and 11 nominations, so I guess you could say that it did end up doing pretty well. Masai Maruyama set up Mappa in the first place to escape the corporate pressures and restrictions he had been experiencing at Madhouse. This was the case at first, but very quickly the company brought in success, which attracted more productions, increased the workload, and meant the company needed to grow. You could say that Mappa became the very thing it swore to destroy. In 2016, Maruyama decided that he wanted to step away from Mappa. He was 75 years old at this point and straight up suffering from success. All he wanted to do after all is to work on his passion projects and be more stress-free.
That boy chilling back, enjoying life right now.
He formed another company called Studio M2, so he could still work on projects closer to his heart in a more relaxed manner. He decided to hand over the control of Mappa to Manabu Otsuka, who's still the CEO up to now. From that point on, Mappa would only become more and more successful, with taking already great manga and creating anime adaptations of them, which in fact were very well animated.
This is when I got introduced to Mappa right here, Yuri on Ice, and then I went back and watched Terror Resonance, and then Dororo is when a lot of niggas stopped sleeping on Mappa, and then of course they start dropping the big hits.
Animated. Since then up to now, they took on plenty of projects, from Kids on the Slope, Terror and Resonance, and many other names. The very first project from Mappa that saw insane success was Yuri on Ice. This anime wasn't just a success in Japan, but it also caught the eyes of many people around the globe. The show follows the story of a figure skater
Okay,
named
let's
Yuri
not talk about it, bro. I don't want to get exposed, bro. I don't want to get exposed.
In 2017. Around this time, reports started to come up that the working conditions in the studio during the production of the series were far from great. With very tight deadlines and things getting quite messy, these rumours would continue to pop up in the near future. They then released Banana Fish in 2018, which would only solidify Mappa's name in the industry. The show itself had zesty undertones once again.
Yo, very zesty. I didn't watch this one. After Yuri on Ice, I was good on that, bro. I was good on that. Trust. You could miss me with this.
But the main themes and highlighted issues were drug use, gangs, murders, and pedophilia. Topics you rarely see in any media. And of course, because of this, the show went on to see great success. I would personally recommend it as it covers very serious topics, and because of that, it's a much more interesting watch.
If you don't mind seeing some zesty shit, go peep.
We're gonna hang out.
Peep that.
Watch a movie.
Come on, bro. You did not have to put that on the screen, my guy. Come on.
Pictures.
You did not have to put that on the screen.
Shortly after this, Mappa really got the gears turning and started the streak of taking on many great well-known mangas and throwing them into the stratosphere. And not only in Japan, but everywhere, turning these animangas into basically household names around the globe, which is what I call the Mappa effect. The first manga they did it with was Dorohedoro. This manga on its own was already well.
Are we calling that a household name? I'm not gonna lie, I don't think so, buddy.
Well known in Japan. But of course, as the Mappa effect goes, when the trailer for season 1 released in January 2021, it spiked everyone's interest.
And then look, it didn't go anywhere. This is not a household name. If his household name is going up like this, buddy, look at that fucking downhill of hell, bruh.
Worldwide. Then when it actually dropped, it skyrocketed even higher. Since then, it's tripled in popularity and hasn't dipped.
What, nigga? What are we watching? Are we looking at the same graph?
Of course, this was just the start. They did the exact same thing with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Now let's compare the differences. Let's compare the differences, cause I must be tweaking. I must be stupid. This is a household name. This is a household name here. Look at the peaks. Look at the peaks.
It skyrocketed. Of course, this was just the start. They did the exact same thing with Jujutsu Kaisen.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all be chatting sometimes, bro. You could have just said it started with Jujutsu Kaisen, and everybody would agree with you. But I don't know why you said it started with that other one, bro. It got some interest, but it fell off like crazy. Fell off like Promised Neverland season 2, buddy.
It was already very popular in Japan, but when Mappa announced season 1, it blew it out of the water globally and managed to stay relevant since then, even with the breaks between seasons in the movie. Both Dorohedoro and Jujutsu Kaisen release dates are 9 months apart. It might not seem like much, but keep in mind they worked on both of these shows at once, and not to mention a third one, which is actually a pretty small anime you probably haven't heard of, and is pretty underground, called Attack on Titan. It goes the same for this show. Of course, it's already had the steam that Wit Studio brought with it, but as you can see, Wit Studio just doesn't have the same effect, unlike Mappa.
Household name.
This spike right here is where Mappa dropped the beginning of season 4. Of course, it's not all Mappa's work. The source material is absolute peak, but Mappa's work only amplifies the show to a whole new level.
Yeah.
As goes for all the other manga they picked up. Then over a year later, they came to drop Chainsaw Man. Of course, it surged in popularity as they teased the first trailer, but the pattern continued. We all know a manga being animated will bring attention to it, but it's almost never as big of a...
Like, look at High. Like, even if we compare this to the other one he was talking about, I went back a little bit. Even if we compare this to the first one, bro, look at it. High, a little drop, peak, and then the season ended, so it started. But look where it's at, though. Like,
we all know a manga being animated will bring attention to it.
That first one was not
but it's almost never as big of a jump in popularity when Mappa does it. Right after Chainsaw Man at the start of October 2022, they didn't waste any time with season 2 of Vinland Saga, releasing it at the very start of January 2023. Vinland Saga already had previous hype just like Attack on Titan, but as history goes, it didn't amount to the Mappa effect. This brings us to now, and Mappa's most recent release has been Hell's Paradise. As always, the Mappa effect worked like a charm, and honestly, this show had the biggest...
Wait. Did I miss what you said about Vinland Saga? Like, did I miss something?
Saga, releasing it at the very start of January 2023. Vinland Saga already had previous hype just like Attack on Titan, but as history goes, it didn't amount to the Mappa effect.
What? it didn't amount to the Mappa effect, why not? Why didn't it amount? According to you, the Mappa effect is like it getting hyped. Is it not? Like, look at this chart. What about this? If you said Dora was got hit by the Mappa effect, how is this not getting hit by the Mappa effect? Look where it was. Am I missing something?
This brings us to now, and Mappa's most recent release has been Hell's Paradise. As always, the Mappa effect worked like a charm, and honestly, this show had the biggest increase I've ever seen out of all the shows.
Yep, for now, and it's about to get hit with that Doro effect.
Although it's not all sunshine and rainbows, it's common knowledge that the workspace in Japan isn't the healthiest to say the least. I'm sure you guys seen photos of businessmen in Japan just passed out on the streets from drinking all night. This is a result not only from the complete stress they undergo day in and out, but also Japan's networking culture. In their world, the more you drink, the more trustworthy you are considered. Which of course leads to these types of photos popping up pretty frequently. Jokes aside though, it is a very serious problem, and of course includes the animators as well, where they're overworked and sometimes even underpaid for their work. During last year and coming into this year, rumors started to pop up that Mappa is crunching their employees. They released Chainsaw Man Season 1, Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, Vinland Saga Season 2, and Hell's Paradise Season 1, all in the span of 10 months. That's 29 hours of great quality anime released in that time frame. And that's not counting the last episodes of Attack on Titan, which are set to release sometime in October this year. And it being official that they're working on One Punch Man Season 3, which hasn't got a release date just yet. So yeah, it might just be that they're being overworked.
Help! Help! Help me! Help!
But nothing official has been released at the moment. Either way, I hope the best for our dear Mappa animators. As you can see, the Mappa effect is very much real, and will probably continue to affect shows for the better or for worse as Mappa continues to animate them. They truly have been dominating the anime industry recently, and it doesn't seem like it's stopping anytime soon either. Thanks for making it this far, and if you had a good time,
Okay,
hit that
so
like.
I'm
It
gonna
helps
just
me a lot.
rewind here
And
because
will
I
see
want to
you
make
in the next one.
make sure I got what his Mappa effect was. Where was it?
And gotten the last.
Oh, my
But you know,
bad.
it also gave him a chance to work on projects that he actually wanted to work on. It was Masai's passion project in a way. The name Mappa actually stands for Maruyama Animation Produced Project Association.
But what the hell?
I first heard of
He
Mappa
didn't
when they
say
took
that.
over for the final season of Attack on Titan from Wit Studio, which is probably when most of you first heard of him. We should probably be turning these animangas into basically household names around the globe, which is what I call the Mappa effect.
Okay, so he said turning anime mangas into a household name is what the Mappa effect is. It's like that's different from what the other guy said. So this is a different perspective on the Mappa effect from what the first guy said. I definitely agree more with this guy than the first guy. Like the other guy, I completely disagree with his. I think it's true. Like they are turning, but like they have turned a lot of like every manga that they had in the last 1-2 years have been known. Like Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, which is part of the Dark Trio, Hell's Paradise, which is part of the Dark Trio. They picked. I already said Attack on Titan. What was it? Chainsaw Man, which is part of the Dark Trio. So a lot of stuff that they had was already known. So I mean, I agree and I disagree. It's not like they're taking like no name manga and making it big like a Demon Slayer. Like if it was like your photo was Demon Slayer, that was like it wasn't not no name, but it had a little bit of motion. They didn't have motion like Jujutsu Kaisen or motion like Chainsaw Man. So like I definitely agree with this one a lot more than I did with the other Mappa effect. But I think like we need to scrap the Mappa effect in general. I think most of the Mappa effects are just common occurrences in anime, and y'all are just putting titles on it. Like there's been plenty of studios like I said, Demon Slayer for one. That's one example where a studio takes a little manga that didn't have that much motion and turn it into a super popular anime, and it makes the manga sales go up. There's been plenty of studios that have done that in the past. So, like, given that common occurrence just to Mappa, like, I don't like that we do that. Like, I don't like y'all giving the Mappa effect for common occurrences. That's how I feel about the Mappa effect in general. No matter how you change it, unless another Mappa effect comes along, which I really agree with, is actually something unique to Mappa. But as I stand right now, I just don't like y'all putting the Mappa effect on every common thing that Mappa does. Excuse me.